I believe that everyone agreed to in this specific case is ba, 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 ba. Is Connor helping Lauren Southern by platforming her and being on debates with her? And is there utility to sharing space with her? How this is going to work is each of you get a 2-minute opener uninterrupted. And then we go to the chess timer, which I have a screen share in Discord. So if you want to see the time and not have to worry about looking at my screen for it, that's what we're going to do there. You each get 30 minutes. So how that's going to work is if one of you starts talking, I'll start the timer for you. If the other person starts talking, I'll move it to them. If you start interrupting the other person and you're both screaming at each other, whoever was the interruptee is the one who's going to be losing time. Once someone gets to 0 on the clock, I hard server mute them and give the other person the ability to use any remaining time they have for some flavor of a closing statement. So I'm not going to do, like, there's no hand raising shit because it's just the two of you. And just understand the rules of that, of interrupting each other. I'll remind you at 20 minutes, at 10 minutes, at 5 minutes, and 1 minute about how much time you have left, just to make sure that you understand about that. Do both of you understand the rules?
Yes.
Yes.
You said 30 minutes or 30 seconds? I'm sorry.
Oh, 30. You each have 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Like allotted. If you look at the screen share thing in the Discord, you each have 30 minutes. See, it's like 30 minutes under Aiko, 30 minutes under Connor. So you each have 30. And so, which one of you wants to go first with the 2-minute opening statement?
Yeah, I don't mind going first.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll just concede the first point. Obviously, I'm helping. I'm giving her communicative rhetoric in order to be more effective in the Twitch.tv space. I'm obviously, integrated into these communities pretty well as the reasonable right winger, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's something that's fairly easy to concede. The question kind of gets to utility and an evaluated perspective on utility. So basically, from my calculus, if I'm quote unquote one of the good right wingers, if civic nationalism rubs people wrong, but it's way better than ethnic nationalism or ethno nationalism. If not being religious in particular, but still believing in a religious ethic is better than being dogmatically religious. If mixed economy capitalism is better than unfettered trickle down economic capitalism. If all of these are incrementally better than maybe, I don't know, TPUSA or MAGA America or whatever you want to call it, then these are the kind of ideas that, while they might not be as lefty or progressive or socialist or woke as a lot of people want, I would still think that they're better than MAGA at this point, or better than the alt-right of 2016. So that's kind of where my calculus in all of this is, of course, to profit myself by, basically getting more eyeballs on me from a right-wing space. But it also is to shift the center of gravity more towards the center. I would say I absolutely do the same thing with the left. Whenever I have an opportunity to be platformed or to debate a lefty or a liberal or a progressive and drag them my way, I do the same thing. And I understand the nefarious concerns. I don't know if I'll be able to alleviate these in these conversations, but hopefully I can at least, give everybody an honest take about what's going on and why and what my motivations are. So I'll leave it there. Yield.
Thank you, Connor. All right. And just for people like Malding in chat, River, we don't start the timer until they're both done with their closing statements. So please don't demold. I got you. I know what I'm doing. All right. So Aiko, 2 minutes for yours. Also, sorry for the pizza eating if it's distracting, and then the call. Again, it's my birthday, so I'm getting calls from friends and family. So I'm just gonna do my best to silence that every time that happens. So
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I think that there is understandably some confusion with what my actual contention is. I am not here to tell you what's effective, what's ineffective, who anyone should or shouldn't talk to. My issue with the Great Replacement video is one thing, but I guess I want to say my personal goal here is to keep an eye on what I think is not being seen necessarily. A lot of what I do is criticize, mauled about leftists specifically that aren't living up to their stated values, along with whoever else. So it's not my business what your worldview is. You don't need me to validate it, etc. So I think that maybe something that has been causing unnecessary problems is that it doesn't seem completely clear. Like I don't know exactly what you intend to do, maybe reach over to Lauren's audience, but in doing so, by not being completely clear about where you stand on these issues, like how you feel about the great replacement, how and the rhetoric that she uses, instead, like, versus like uh, uh giving, like, presenting it in a more reasonable light with and to her audience. um I am concerned because a bunch of people, I mean, people trust you, you obviously care about things, you you know they consider, like, your words have weight. You give her credibility, and what I'm worried about is all of these random, like, lefty streamers that are like, "Oh, I can debate Lauren now," and just kind of being murky. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just what I want to be clear. Yeah.
All right, great. So we can throw it to Connor as the start. Connor, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so what I would say is, with the Great Replacement video, I actually understand your hesitancy and criticisms of that video. For those of you who haven't watched it, the intent was to go through the debate, or not the debate, Lauren Southern's previous 11-minute video on the Great Replacement very specifically.
Oh, you cut out.
Yeah, we lost. Oh shit!
Wait, I'm sorry.
I cut out?
Yeah,
Yeah, you did that whole
you
thing.
cut out for just a second. Feel free to try again. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. So the intent of going over that video was basically Gassim is a Sudanese immigrant. He's a gentleman from Sudan. He actually helped get that country off of the American terror watch list, basically, and normalize trade relations with them. And I identify as centrist or center right, and I also kind of swam, whatever, in right-wing circles for a really long time. So I basically knew that I wouldn't necessarily catch all the dog whistles if there were dog whistles present. And one of the things that in DMs that I think that your criticism that I think is very real is Gassim and I presented the more centrist, rational, contextual information that was kind of omitted from the original piece, but we never received consensus. We never got Lauren to say, "Oh, I see that now, and I understand that, and on top of that, I adopt that into my personal worldview." That is something that's real, and frankly, that's kind of where we have to measure the utility. Are we trying to win Lauren Southern more towards the center of gravity, more towards like centrist or moderate or whatever, or are we trying to win her audience? And so for me, I'm basically about to jump in the fucking deep end. Talking, so far in my Twitch career, I've largely been punching left. I've been going into left-wing spaces, arguing with leftists about their perspectives, basically throwing elbows and all that kind of shit. And now that I'm finally jumping right, I'm just going to tell you, it's actually a lot rougher than I thought it was. I was always wagging my fucking fingers at left-wingers saying that they had dog shit rhetoric and they had dog shit perspectives. And maybe if they were more empathetic or understanding or communicative or tactful, they would be able to win over right-wingers. And while I do have some right-wingers in my comment section who are like, "Oh yeah, I love the content, this, that, the other," I also have a bunch of other people who are calling me a fucking race traitor sack of shit who's, excusing the white genocide, or basically providing cover for the white genocide and all that kind of stuff. And all these gross people that I previously didn't have to deal with, I now have to deal with, because these, while fractional, are very real toxic parts of the community that when I don't want to say lie, the concept is kind of like lie through omission. When you don't call out the toxic parts of the right, these places are allowed to run amok. And unfortunately, we have a lot of right-wing creators who for the past 5 or 10 years, they never called out the shitty parts of their own audience and they just forwarded their own agenda. And that's kind of where, fuck that. It's high time we start throwing fucking elbows, and that's kind of where I'm at. So let me know if I was vague or if there's any specific question you want me to answer.
I think that I can see, I've noticed over my time being here on Twitch, if you aren't like clear, you will get the worst interpretation from any side. I've also realized that, yeah, like it's not uh although there are obviously very different ideologies, like left versus right, whatever the fuck that is, I don't really care about ideology. I notice people can have the same exact ideas and consider themselves leftists. Um, I think that like in order for to navigate this weird like in between, now you have people attacking you from the right as well. It's just to be, I guess, very very clear about what you are trying to do, which is also kind of, I understand, is difficult because then you can set off certain people. My really what it is that like, so in the Great Replacement video, um the thing that, like, I watched it twice. I saw like, I know that you were trying to speak to her audience as well. I know that people are accusing you of platforming Lauren Southern, and that's like as if that's like there's no good way to do that. I'm not in that camp. I'm just worried, not so much, I don't know. I think since you're in a certain like position, like, I think that you can handle it, and whatever blind spots you have, I think you are making an attempt to balance it out. Like you said, you brought on Gassim to be there with you. At the same time, um, what I think it ended up looking like, because obviously Gassim was limited in what he could push back with. Otherwise he would be like having to push her on every single thing that she would say, and then it would turn into a weird combative thing, and then they don't know each other, and then you would just be there in the middle, so it would have just been kind of awkward. I think ultimately I've been seeing a lot of people who are very, they feel free, a lot of leftists who feel free to just have casual uh or chats with her or heated debates, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So it's like I just want to make sure that we handle this responsibly. I Because I don't know what the best method is of bringing people to a more reasonable place, so I felt like, going point by point, it wasn't so, it felt like you were presenting, like, I can see how you were trying to like kind of ease the gut panic when people hear certain things about white people getting replaced, etc. But I don't think it was clear enough that, like, as a like um reinterpreting reinterpreting data points doesn't change the underlying uh, actual issue, because the data can change. They're all just tools to uh, uh, I guess present the actual premise, which is they're like Muslims are different, they're dangerous, they're coming to get us. Maybe it's not the elites that are trying to get them to do it, but maybe it's geopolitics, but that still doesn't change um the othering, the fear and whatnot, which is, I understand if you're dealing with specific audience, but I think that, I've seen a lot of people kind of go into the, oh, well, Connor's got his eye on it. Like, they trust you, so they're like, he's doing it. So if they perceive you and her as a certain way, then they feel comfortable. Like, I guess uh, dipping their toes in or throwing their body into the pool. Does that make sense?
It does. So you gave me probably like 8 to 10 bullet points, so I'll try to address them point by
Yeah,
point as
sorry
I.
about
No,
that.
no, it's totally fine. I actually, I like you said, In the DMs, you came in good faith. We absolutely know that this could have been a blood-filled shit show, so I appreciate you kind of taking it low and slow with me. I do appreciate it. So to address like what's my actual ideology, I am a civic nationalist. I make no apologies about that. Basically, what I mean by that is I don't care your ethnic background or where you come from on the planet, but if you prescribe to a certain set of ideas that I view as integral to the country, then you can become a part of that country. I think this ideology particularly applies to America, where I hate to say it for all the leftists in chat, but it's liberalism. It's freedom of conscience, the right to express yourself, the right to defend yourself even against your government, and a limited government, not necessarily in the libertarian sense, but a limited government in that when the government makes a law, it follows its own laws. It's not free to do whatever the hell it wants under its own purview. So that's what I mean by civic nationalism. It's something I believe in. When it comes to economics, unfortunately, I would probably be centrist or right-wing when it comes to like either Canadian or European politics, but I'm actually left of center when it comes to economics in America. I'm not a socialist. I'm not even a social democrat, but I am a mixed economy capitalist in that I believe that universal healthcare, for instance, should be one of the things that we advocate for because it frees the economy. I think that high quality education is incredibly important because conservatives often talk about equality of opportunity and they say, oh, why don't these brown and black people do better in society? They have equality of opportunity under the law. But then if you actually look at the schools, the school systems are completely fucked. Public schools in America suck. So if we actually want to create real equality of opportunity, that means we have to invest in our communities regardless of like ethnic background. Also, when it comes to like, social perspectives or whatever, I'm not religious myself, which actually makes me pretty libertarian or liberal when it comes to like LGBTQ folk. Like I don't really have like a strong negative opinion. I want people to do well regardless of how they express themselves, all that kind of stuff. But I do have a tinge of sympathy for like Jordan Peterson, where I think that old stories and mythologies and things that we told ourselves over the past 3,000 years likely serve some kind of social function, and these things aren't arbitrary. How people choose to live their lives, how they choose to spend their money and spend their time has real effects on themselves, their communities, their friends, their relationships, and all that kind of stuff. And oftentimes when it comes to like leftists or progressives or social progressives or whatever, it can get really wishy-washy and feel very arbitrary. And because it feels very arbitrary, I think a lot of people can fall into incredibly toxic habits. And then I still have like a few more points that I want to get through. So, so Lauren using my credibility in order to gain access to the Twitch space. This is probably true, but at the same time, I just can't from a 10K, 50 to 100 person streamer. I don't know how much she really needs me. You know, like she fires up the camera. There's 500 people waiting for her in live chat, and her YouTube videos typically get between 50 and 150K videos. She could, or 150K views. She could just fire up the webcam and just do her own fucking thing and not even deal with like the Twitch community and still do well siloed with her audience, basically giving them the talking points that they want to hear. The reason why I feel like, while it's true that maybe my credibility is being used, the reason why I feel okay participating in this space is realistically, if there were people that I needed to attract to my version of what I thought politics could be on the right wing, those are the people that I need to talk to. It's completely ineffective for me to say, hey guys, I use like I'd be like the Tim Pool of centrism or whatever, where it's like, hey guys, I'm actually a liberal, but it turns out MAGA and Trump is awesome. I would be that, except for the left, where I'm like, hey guys, I'm right wing, but it turns out that everything that you say is based. Like I can't do that and not advocate to those audiences for them to come my way politically. I promise I'm almost done.
No.
The opening up the door where incompetent or stupid people feel confident enough in order to debate Lauren Southern. That's kind of a preparation issue that I feel like I've never claimed a tribal allegiance to liberals, primarily because they're anti-gun, even though probably politically I am a liberal. I've never claimed any kind of allegiance to progressives, even though I'm libertarian on LGBTQ issues. And I've never claimed any kind of allegiance to the left, like socialists and communists, because I'm not a socialist or a communist. The left as a whole does a pretty good job of criticizing each other. But if y'all don't have like good quality debaters, I believe myself to be a good quality debater. So I can only do what I can do. I can't control y'all. So if you see people in your community who are coming at Lauren Southern and they're coming all sorts of fucking twisted and they're fucking up debates left, right, and center, you'll never see me back a perspective that I don't believe in public. I will never do that. But at the same time, that's more of an issue that needs to be fixed on y'all's end. And then I want to leave it there because I do have 3 other points, but I know I've been talking for like fucking 10 minutes, so I don't want to bore the audience to death.
Well, I don't put all of this on you. Absolutely not. It's not your job to handle every aspect of this. I just want to, like, so I'm technically a leftist because that's, I guess, what category I fall into. I grew up with fundamentalist born again Christianity, rapture, hellfire, doom kind of stuff. So there are and completely isolated within that world until like my mid-teens. So I don't know a lot about economics or basically nothing. I don't know about most things, so I leave that up to other people. What I'm concerned about is I don't care about the individual like lefty streamer assholes who want to challenge Lauren Southern for cloud or whatever. I want to keep the space, or rather try to move the space into a place where people can exist safely and have it not become so toxic to people who are already marginalized, because I have seen a lot of things that people have done on the left, which is why I don't even really criticize Destiny much, because I feel like the real problem are the people who are gigantic hypocrites who, if they start debating Lauren back to back to back, of course her audience is just going to think that anything that any lefty says is ridiculous and bullshit and meaningless, right? It's more like I'm concerned about maybe there are things that are, I guess, mm, I guess it's like I just want to I guess protect the people who don't have a lot of recourse. I'm afraid that, I know that there are other like really really Nazis, like 6 something 666. I don't remember this person's name, but there are other people coming to Twitch. I just feel like I feel like the canary in the coal mine. Like I can sense when there are dog whistles around. Like I can kind of see the patterns, and when people were trying to convert everyone around, using threats of hell, using threats of your soul and whatnot. But everyone having their own reasons and their own style of speaking. So I don't know. It kind of, just the way the sneaky kind of rhetoric I see take root and then kind of mindlessly get forwarded. Not you, but I think that I don't know, maybe some kind of maybe I don't know what the answer is.
We're opening the door. Yeah. So I agree with this because I see it in my own community. And the basically what I would say, my community was probably up until very recently like 20% libertarian, maybe 80% leftists who hated other leftists. That's literally like the community breakdown, which is fun. It's fine. But obviously, like I would fight with the leftists, and then like the libertarians would be too extreme on not wanting the government or some shit like that. So there was plenty of people fighting all the time over ideas. But the thing that kind of united us was we wanted good discourse. And did I lose y'all?
Oh no, I heard you. You froze
Okay.
your camera for a second, but I heard you.
Okay, so if y'all can still hear me. So basically, the thing that united us, despite being wildly different on politics, was that we wanted to fight about the ideas and have like clear communication and not straw man, and we wanted to like steel man each other and all that kind of stuff. And I'm very happy and proud of the Discord community that I built. In particular, it's private, so basically you have to ask to be invited. But what has happened in the Discord community, what has happened in the comments section or whatever, since engaging with Lauren, since engaging with other right-wing figures or whatever, is I would still say that like 70% of the time that's true. But then we have those like 30% of just like evil, psychotic, I'm not trying to use the fucking buzzwords to be fancy. I'm trying to use them as descriptions. Literally just racist, literally just anti-Semitic, literally just don't like trans folk or gay folk. And I can see that in my comments where people are getting misgendered. I can see that in my comments where people are just talking about, you know, oh, the Jews are running everything and anybody who doesn't believe this is in denial. I can see all this kind of shit. And on one hand, you're completely right. We are opening up twitch.tv through the introduction of Lauren Southern, through the introduction of Sticks, X, and Hammer, or whatever other right wingers. I think I might have frozen again. If y'all can still hear me, can y'all still hear me? All right, we'll wait for it. 1 second. If I gotta jump out and jump back in, I'll jump out and jump back in.
You got it?
I can hear y'all now. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so I think you're totally right. But what I would say to the people is that this isn't the time to get complacent. What I would say is this is the time to mobilize, organize, get your mods in line, get your rhetoric in line. Because if the right wing's coming, they're coming. If I lost y'all, I'm going to jump out and jump back in. Can you hear me? Should I hang up and come back? All right.
Hans, you're muted too.
All right.
I don't know.
So, sorry, I'm back.
Oh shit.
Okay, you're good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just saying, like, you're right, and it's the time to mobilize, organize, get your mods in check, because you're right. That these people are going to bring probably 60%, 70% normie fucking right wingers, and 30% of them are going to be the most toxic motherfuckers that you've ever dealt with in your entire life. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. The thing
1 second before you jump in, Aiko, just letting you both know. Connor, you passed 20 minutes. You're at 18 minutes 40 seconds, and Aiko, you are at 22 minutes and 20 seconds. So go ahead, Aiko. I'm gonna go grab a beer really quick. So Connor, please don't interrupt Aiko. I'm still trying to enjoy my birthday.
No,
it would be good.
I understand. I understand everyone's concern. I just had a silly goose time, so I didn't realize that I actually like was that grating to you. So I'm sorry. I'm not interested in spectacles unless it's intentionally supposed to be a spectacle. So my concern is basically like the people that you're like referring to on the left. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. That's why I focus on them. That's why I cover and cringe the fuck out of like everything. I don't want to watch Vosh, but I fucking have to because he spreads so much misinformation. It blows my mind. I mean, it doesn't. You know, there's no counterbalance. And it's understandable why like a lot of people might not see the dog whistles or what people are like there's a lot of stuff that slips by because these people that are holding like nefarious actual beliefs are going to treat white people different than they are to other people, not necessarily even myself, but just I've seen the impact that people like Vosh have had on those marginalized communities, despite him claiming to be trying to help them. And so I do not trust, all of these random streamers running amok and engaging with Lauren and
Every time, guys. Hey, can y'all... Hans.
In the waiting room.
Oh, pulled him back in, and
No,
then Aiko, you just passed 20 minutes as well. So.
But I only missed like 20 seconds, so I caught most of it. And
Okay.
yeah, so basically what I would say is, yeah, you're right, and this is kind of the thing where this is why I'm thankful that characters like Destiny are around, because despite him interpersonally being one of the biggest assholes that I've ever seen ever, which I would tell to his face, he is an absolute talent for fucking sniffing out bullshit, calling it out, and using his rhetoric to do so. While being critical of Vosh, I do think that he is rhetorically gifted and, you know, charismatic and all that kind of stuff, or else he wouldn't have a following in the first place. And it really is up to us, I guess, or up to me, I guess, to try to balance these things out. But the truth is that YouTube was absolutely dominated by the right wing for a really long time. And then a shitload of people got crazy edgy, went into neo-Nazi ideology, went into, you know, race realism, all that kind of stuff, and they got their channels nuked. Lauren was able to survive that alt-right, alt-light purge of, like, you know, 2017, 2018. Now she's back. And the thing about it is, she really, because she's engaging with this kind of space for the first time in, you know, a year, 2 years or whatever, her talking points are from 2 years ago. Her perspectives are from 2 years ago. And there are right-wing pundits who, for the past 2 years, haven't been paying attention to BreadTube, haven't been paying attention to the video essayists, haven't been paying attention to the debate bros or anything like that. And as a result, they're behind the curve. It used to be that the right wing would absolutely dominate these spaces, and the left wing now kind of does. Well, now we're in a recalibration of this. And frankly, I'm hoping to be a part of the recalibration of fucking sane people to get in here and throw some fucking elbows against what I view as criminally insane and toxic people. But at the same time, like, in order to do that, I have to talk to, not calling Lauren criminally insane, but let's just face it, some of her fucking audience is. And so that's where we might be presenting these ideas in very milquetoast, agreeable ways or anything like that. But that's just because I think, you know, the saying is, like, you catch more flies with honey, so to speak. And also, when it comes to representation, I have and had some of the same concerns that people have about Islam as a political force, about Muslim immigration into the West, about terrorism and jihadism as a force on the global stage, and also sympathy based off of Pew Research polls for suicide bombing and for theocracy. Those things are all alarming to me, but I would try not to let those things inform my interpersonal bigotry. And it's by interacting with people like Gassim, who are incredibly educated, incredibly articulate, know their religion backwards and forwards, know geopolitics backwards and forwards, that I was able to kind of humanize something that I was probably deeply uncomfortable with and susceptible to propaganda on. So for me, while it might be, like you said, it might not be as aggressive or assertive as to say, like, hey, Lauren, we caught you on these 5 points. Do you now agree with our perspective? Maybe that would be an opportunity to, like, you know, hold somebody's feet to the fire from, like, an accountability perspective. But again, I'm not necessarily there for Lauren. I don't really give a shit if she changes her opinion or not. What I care about is contextualizing this information and putting a human face on these problems, so these fucking right-wingers who haven't seen a Muslim except for in fucking, like, you know, terrorism compilation videos for the past 5 years, they can say, oh fuck, like, you know, yes, there's real problems, but also I saw this dude who gave me new information. And that's kind of the goal where, you know, however shittily executed, that was the attempt anyways.
Right. I think that's my opinion is that everyone has their own work that they can do, that is that they see value in, that they can relate to, when trying to just make whatever place they're in better. And so I think that that all sounds like good, good stuff. But so it's which is separate from I'm just concerned that maybe like uh I and I don't want to put all of this on you, but there has to be a way where it's not so wishy-washy, because I understand why you wouldn't hold Lauren's feet to the actual fire, because then, you might not have people be as open to you, right?
Hmm.
But I think that it looked like in the Great Replacement video that you there were a few times where you interjected before she could respond to present the other narrative. By doing so, yes, you get to like frame it in a way that's less scary, but at the same time it can give the appearance that she has changed, that she is more moderate, where and people can be more open to her and her beliefs being slightly more reasonable, or at least different in some way. And I think that's a very, very uh that's kind of an impossible line to walk and stay on all the time. But I think it's that we have to just like recognize that, like while you're facing like this specific group of people, like just bear in mind like the people that are like that your back is turned to while you're looking this way, there's a lot of shenanigans going on back there. You know what I mean? I think that and no one really like listens to me, so I just feel like these are things that um I just don't want people to. I'm not going to name any names, but I just see all these people who are incredibly would just make her seem way more uh, uh, I don't even know that they
Oh,
could
I
run
know.
in. Yeah, yeah,
I know
exactly.
exactly what you're saying, because basically I was on a panel with like 9 other dudes. I think 6 of whom were like white, or 5 of whom were like white. And people were asking like, hey, is it okay to interact with Lauren Southern now? And everybody was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know this is not representative of the perspectives of the Twitch community. I know this is not representative of like Twitter as a whole. And I know that this like very mild milquetoast welcoming is not, basically what anybody can expect on twitch.tv or twitter.com. But then kind of getting to your concern of like how this is going to affect certain communities, I think it is going to be worse. Like I'm just preparing you for that. Like I actually think that what's going to happen is these right-wing creators who have previously been relegated solely to YouTube are going to discover that they can skirt twitch.tv TOS. They're going to figure out the ways to do it. They're going to come on here. They're going to drag a decent chunk of their audiences with them. And then those people will bleed over into other audiences negatively, where they'll be parts of like hate raids and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In order to take on other communities. And especially when, even in my own comment section, I'm seeing people like actively misgendering my friends because they think it's funny. It's like, I feel like 3 years ahead of these people, where I'm like, hey, I get it. Like the helicopter joke was funny in fucking 2015. We're now 5 years past that. And I have a fuckload of people who would be super pissed about that. Stop being an edgy douchebag. You're not 12, you're 30. Like, let's get this in fucking perspective. And so that's where I want to concede that it is going to get worse, but then this is the fight that needs to happen. So if you want to get these people to grow up, if you want to expose them to new ideas, if you want to expose them to steelmen, I'm just telling you, like with or without me, this Pandora's the Pandora's box, the lid is opening with or without me. So your concerns are correct, but it's not so much something that I can change. The question is, what the fuck do we do about it? That's the question.
One second before Aiko, I let you go. Connor, who are you possibly referring to? Are you suggesting that a panel of just men might not be representative and be able to talk about a specific issue? I wonder if anyone has ever done that, made such a horrible mistake. Whether it's me or another panel host, as early as last Friday. And it really, I'm sorry. All right, I go ahead.
Well, check it out.
Yeah.
No, this is not. Listen, you can't do this on your own. Absolutely, you didn't open the box. Again, I would like to say, yeah, she could have very well ended up on Twitch anyway. I think that hey, Xander Hall took her out of the box. We just have to acknowledge, our contributions. It's not about laying blame on people. People, like when I try to bring this up, oftentimes people who that I didn't even know that they had spoken to her, they feel attacked, like someone's attacking them because of them engaging. It's not about them. It's about preventing future. I've been on Twitch long enough to see things come full circle and then around again. So I'm kind of like, okay, how would you, let's just at least bear witness honestly to what is taking place as it happens, so that way we can understand how we got to some place if we end up somewhere really bad in the future. I just want to prevent as much harm as possible. I know it's not I think that it's something that we have to do, like, reasonable people within a community who care. Like, all I want is just for people to, like, be okay-ish, as much as they can be okay. And yeah, so I'm just there isn't a representation for the people who are most damaged by the presence of the really wild like hating trans and different races and stuff,
One second.
At least I want to say.
Connor, I'll let you respond to this. I just want to maybe pose this to both of you to help maybe steer this in a more potentially positive direction. So we're not dancing around this. So Aiko, it seems like what Connor has been saying is that this convergence is going to happen at some point, and it's best to cushion it now and try and deal with it as well as we can. And that feels somewhat at odds with your perspective of trying to make a completely safe place for people. So I guess okay. So then I guess I would like one or either of you to potentially answer this and keep pushing forward on this. Is it possible to ensure safe places while still bringing people who are potentially currently yikesy into the broader space? Because it doesn't seem like we're kicking Lauren off anytime soon. So it's what are we supposed to do in the meantime, and how do we encourage better behavior while still making sure that places are safe in the way that Aiko wants them to be safe? So go ahead, Connor.
Yeah,
Let's just start on that one.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is, basically this thing is happening. As far as safeguards that can be done, I think we have to, hold on, I want to make this point before we continue on that. I actually think it is a shame that Demon Mama took her time off when she did. And it's not because I would have agreed with her perspectives, but I think she is a fierce advocate for her perspectives. And she would have been able to articulate the uncomfortability of mixing these communities and kind of this convergence that we see coming. So everybody else was like, oh, I don't really see what the problem is. And like you said, some of them might not be able to take on Lauren or her audience or other nefarious figures in that way. So they're basically they're not the people that we're really concerned with in the fucking first place, and they're saying it's okay. Whereas I feel like Demon Mama would have been a more fierce advocate while not necessarily agreeing with her about what needed to happen. As far as what I think needs to happen or what should happen, is, communities need to brace for impact. And I'm not saying that Lauren is going to be individually responsible for these kinds of things, but these are the kinds of things that I can see happening. Let's say Sargon, Styx, Lauren, I know Nick Fuentes can't get on the platform, but let's just say that there's a new John Doyle, or there's some new America First MAGA type Twitch.tv streamer who actually have clout and a following and don't violate TOS and are able to, create crowds of a few thousand people. What you can expect is basically hate raids. That's what you can expect. You can expect a few hundred people, a few thousand people to be dropped into your chat at one time, and for them to actively start misgendering people or making racist jokes or racist memes or dropping racist emotes. It's coming. So if that's if that's what's coming, then basically like people who are particularly susceptible to this, I hate to say it, but just thinking about like like Demon Mama's community or Vosh's community in particular, because they are further left. Basically having those aggressive controls in place where it's like you need user authentication in order to be able to access chat. You have to be a follower or a sub or something like that in order to access chat. And then also having mods on standby to be able to just start banning the fuck out of people. Unfortunately, that's probably what it's going to take.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt, but the thing is, like, there's a reason why she had to take a break. She was already getting that way before Lauren Southern ever came around. I've been, luckily my mods have been remembering to put me on emo only mode when I sign off, and so it's like I think that there's so much that you maybe don't see that is like what you're describing now is what is already happening. I'm very concerned about even more. Like the amount of hate my mama got, the amount of like Nazi hate raids or just like from any particular community that doesn't necessarily like her. She yes, absolutely is a fierce advocate, but the reason she had to take time off for her own sanity and her threshold is so far beyond my own. The thing is like right now we don't I'm not trying to create safe spaces for people. Like I have my own space. That it is what it is. I don't want to control other people's spaces. What I want is transparency. I want people to be honest about what they're doing, what they think, where they're at. So that way, the more information that everyone has, the more we can make conscious choices that we can stand by and not kind of be like, well, I don't know, that was them that did that, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I didn't do, like, I think also, like, I've even just on Twitter, people were responding to my tweets saying like, things like, oh, well, you know, if Connor is correct, then she has moved this and that, making a claim, but based on the if the little, like, the if that can't hold that entire thing. So it's like, all that we can control is our own whatever. And I think that while I agree, like I think that you have great intentions, I think the work that you want to do is needs to be done by someone, certainly not me. I can understand also like your empathy for people because you were in a space where they are at, like, or at least shared fears and such, and you have grown. And I've noticed this in like a lot of other people who think like, uh, give give a lot of room for people to also like come over and be and grow and be better and whatnot. We also have to acknowledge that yes, there will be plenty of people who are not like you ended up how you are because of who you are. And people change when they have a moment of change where they decide that they want to think about things differently. So I just think that I don't know how exactly to go about all of this. I feel like I don't know, maybe we just have to have people that are, that spend time in different spaces, the people who actually care about what happens and aren't just like cuz I mean, there are a lot of smaller streamers that are trying to like debate people for clout, obviously, or can just be tempted into when they didn't think about it in the first place. When the opportunity arises, they're like, should I? Yeah, fuck it, let's just do it," kind of thing. And then it turns into, has a ripple effect across the entire space. I think maybe if people of different like like people that are coming from where you're coming from, people that are coming from a place where I'm coming from, if we like maybe communicated more about what's going on, um, you know, periodically, then maybe we could have things be more like people won't be able to be as sneaky. Like if someone's a bad actor, like, oh, this person's going around trying to do this or that, be like, okay, like we can keep an eye on this person. I don't know. Also, I think someone needs to like just tell the baby debate bros to like just go back into the incubator. They're not done cooking yet. Like,
Listen, okay.
Well, one thing before you go, Connor. This is the warning for both of you. Aiko, you're at 10:32. Connor, you're at 9:37. So you're both like right around 10 minutes, just so you know that. And then another thing, Demon Mama apparently is currently live. So I'm not sure if she's back permanently, but she is currently streaming again. So
sweet.
Yeah,
and just to let y'all know, I do have a hard out in about 8 minutes, so I'll try to.
If we have to cut short, that's totally fine.
All right, cool. So basically, what I would say is that because part of the reason you actually mentioned this when you and I, the first time that we met in a debate panel setting, it wasn't the most positive. I think that's something that we can say tactfully. And basically what I would say is part of my like visceral reaction to Twitter or whatever was from that previous experience. And when we started DMing each other about this conversation, obviously the anticipation was that it was just going to be a repeat of last time. I'm happy that's not the case. But basically what I would say, you said like, hey, maybe we can have a private conversation. The reason why I wanted to do this as a public conversation is I want to tell Lauren the same thing that I'm telling Hans, the same things that I'm telling Aiko, the same things that I'm telling my audience. I want to be telling everybody the exact same thing. And if Lauren's audience, because, obviously they're kind of coming over to my content sometimes when they feel like it or whatever, if they say, oh, this Connor guy, he's a bad egg. He's trying to undermine our political perspective, whatever the fuck that is or whatever. There's nothing hidden about my agenda. My agenda is to move right-wing conversations about economics away from the narco-capitalist /taxes bullshit that it's been for the past 50 years. My social agenda is to be liberal or libertarian when it comes to LGBTQ folk, and to basically maybe reinforce some cultural ethics that I think are important, but not from a religious dogmatic perspective, but more from like a social utility perspective. That is my open agenda. When it comes to firearms, I'm like a very visceral defender of those things. The reason why is because I think the principles of the founding fathers or anything like that is basically like the balance of power, and balance of power politics is incredibly important, because when I look at Vosh or Hassan Piker on the left, or if I look at Nick Fuentes on the right, these people are not concerned with the balance of power. They just want to monopolize power for their political faction and implement their agenda on the world. And I think that's incredibly dangerous, and it's led to dangerous things in the past. So the reason any one of these factions, off left, ANCOM left, whatever, any one of these factions can find me cringe, but I am what I am. And so that's kind of where, if I'm expecting in the comments literally to be like, oh, why are you on a leftist panel agreeing with leftists? Lauren's done nothing wrong. Her rhetoric might have been a little bit abrasive, but have you ever considered Drag Queen Story Hour? Or have you ever considered 1350? Or have you ever considered that, there's 2,500% representation of Jewish people in media? Like, literally, these are the comments that I'm going to be getting. Yeah. So the question is, so some of these people are unreachable. I just can't reach them. I'm not going to be able to pull them over at all. The other ones, though, are going to be like, what the fuck? Why does this guy, who says that he cares about the things that I care about, why is he having a sensible conversation with somebody who's a political opposite? And I think kind of what's happened with like the political siloing of these communities is that when you have a political pundit who just tells you what you want to hear, some people will get uncomfortable with that and they'll reach out for new information, but tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people are just like, please, for the next 6 decades, tell me exactly what I want to hear until I die. And I have to get through to those fucking people because they're really comfortable with a whole bunch of shit that's just wrong.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's, I mean, you can't, I understand, like, you can't, that's a lot to focus on. That's a whole project into itself. And I understand, like, you can't, there's not a lot of time to think about what's going on behind you, like the reasons why people ought to change in the way that you want them to be able to open up to. Uh, those are the people that are, like, fine. So I don't know. I don't know. Not that I think I don't think you have to, like, try to cater to everyone or both sides or whatever. I think it's just maybe a lack of clarity in exactly what you're trying to do. I, I don't know if maybe it could be as simple as, I don't know. Ah,
No, I
I
mean,
guess
I could straight up make a fucking home video. Literally, when you show up on the YouTube channel, hey fuckers, this is my politics, and this is what I'm trying to accomplish, and this is why I'm associating with these people, and this is what I'm trying to do. I could do that, and then also on top of that, part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is because I know you're not the only person with these concerns. So basically, even if it was a shit show or if it wasn't a shit show, I'm happy to have these conversations. And what I would say is, for me, I try. Not always good at it, but I try to take in feedback that I feel like is done in, hey, this is making me super fucking uncomfortable. This is how I perceive what you're doing. What the fuck? Like, I'm perfectly okay with that. What I can't take, or what makes me shut down a little bit, is when you individually are a morally bad person because you're choosing to engage in this action. You're a fucking piece of shit, and I hope you die. Well, at that point, that's so aggressive that I can't take that into consideration.
right. No, absolutely. And fuck those people. Fuck those people. You're not going to change their mind. There are plenty of people that think that about me and, like, think that I'm just a bad person. It doesn't matter. What I mean is, maybe I guess maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just like a, I don't know. I guess I don't have, like, an answer to that. I guess just those people, they're fucking, they're just lashing out because they're mad about something else. I don't care about those people. I don't care about, like, I have friends who I have conservative friends. No, I have, like, one conservative friend. I only care about people, like, my requirement is literally, do you care if people die on the street because they don't have the ability to keep their bodies continuing on? Like, do you want people to not die because they're marginalized, or,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like basic human things. It doesn't really matter to me how. As long as you care about that, then we're cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to kind of, I'm just concerned considering where we already were. And if I thought you were a bad actor, then I wouldn't even have bothered trying to talk to you, you know?
Sure. And there's this concept in fascist conception or whatever. It's called political corp.
Connor, it has been 8 minutes. If this wants to be like your closing statement, I just want to make sure you're aware.
Yeah,
like, makes you.
This will be my closing, and then I'll shout myself out, and then I'll just hang out while Aiko does her closing, and then I got to jump. So basically, there is a concept in, like, fascist philosophy or whatever called political corporatism. It's where you believe that the nation state is a body. And oftentimes this is used nefariously to identify, like, a religious group or an ethnic group that is on the inside, and then identify people who are on the outside. So, for instance, for Germany, it was the Germans, and then the Jewish people were analogized to be a parasite or a pathogen or something like that needed to be eliminated from the healthy body. I am a political corporatist. I do think that states should act as a body, and they should evaluate the health and the function of everybody within their system. But guess what? My corporative body includes trans people. It includes gay people. It includes black people. It includes brown people. If you're it even includes animals to some extent when it comes to like agriculture and how we treat animals and all that kind of stuff. So what I would say is that these ideas can be used nefariously, but they have to be understood and appealed to based off of their own motivated reasoning. And since I have come from these communities where, you know, in 2016, I was probably like a LARPing, boogaloo, libertarian revolutionary or something like that. Since I come from these communities, I feel like I can understand them and I can speak to them about a better world. Because they think the world is falling apart. They think that like we need to like have a drastic revolution or everything is lost. I think I can talk to them about a world that fits their moral reasoning that's way better than the violence that their politics imply. And so that's my job, because I literally am trying to. It feels like we're on the cusp of a cultural civil war, and it's bled over into the streets where people have killed each other. It's my job to try to get us to back down from this precipice. That's my job. So
Yeah, I got you. I think maybe the thing is that it is like Lauren's positions are still kind of, I mean, she will say them and she will say that she hasn't changed, uh like, you know, because I also watch like Book Smarts talk with her and so on. So I guess maybe what it is, if there is a way that you can do all of the same things, but also like not maybe it's a maybe the thing is just clarity, maybe more bluntness to some people. I'm not sure exactly how it's good to go about it, but I'm just concerned about, you know, people looking at you, talking to her, and then thinking she's changed when she hasn't, and then the things that she's pushing maybe in a softer way, but fundamentally still the same, um, will start to become normalized, even more normalized, because it is normalized anyway here. So, you know, like the space has gotten progressively more. You know, it's like one person does something and people say that's okay, and then everyone does the thing. So I don't know if there's a way to kind of like try to not, while presenting your better narrative, your better outlook to you know, her audience or people that might uh, be think the way you did at one point. If there's a way to have a separation of these are what I think, and not like it, not say it in the space where she would be the one putting her perspective forth. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I do have to jump, but I would say my DMs are open. So if you talk to your community and if they say like, "Hey, we've been thinking about it. Here's a way that we think that we can clearly delineate these ideas. Here's how we think we can communicate these things better. Here's how we can fight these ideas better." Literally, my DMs are open. So hit me up. Have your community hit me up. It's not a problem. And then I do have to sign out because this person's waiting on me. But I appreciate y'all, and I hope you have a great night.
You too. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
buddy. Really
All right.
appreciate you being here. And then Aiko, if you could stay for a second, I'd like to talk to you about something.
All right, give me a second, y'all. Don't look at my shit. Stop looking at it. Stop looking at it, you pieces of shit. You're gonna stare